All right. Denims. Lawsuit filing full court document reading. Teddy Entertainment Inc. versus Alexandria Mara Saber. FKA Mara Talit. Abdelmonem. PKA Denims. And I didn't even notice this in the other two. He does list versus does number 1 through 10. That's the if you guys want to know who does number 1 through 10 are, that's the H3 Snark mods. That we're gonna be skipping over parts of this that I read during the Caseytron one. That was the first one of these I read, and it looks like the part about the H3 Snark mods is copy and pasted into all three of them, so I'll probably be skipping that part. If you want to know more about does number 1 through 10, go watch my reading of the Caseytron one. Now, that one I didn't save my comments for the end, so my comments will be interspersed throughout. But anyway, the reading is there. You will be able to see does number 1 through 10 listed on that court document. All right, so we'll just be reading the parts about Denims. I'll also be skipping the parts about the nuke, as we read that during the Caseytron. So anything I've already read before, if I skip a section, just remember, if you want to see that section in its entirety, you want to hear it being read, go watch the Caseytron. Okay. The Nightmare on Denim Street. And we have a picture of an empty chair. For those of you listening like a podcast, not looking at the screen, we have a picture of an empty chair in Denim's room with the Denim Street sign at the top of it. We're relying on you to stay live, so we don't have to give views to the nuke. Yeah, I'm going to stream it. Since he's confirmed it's coming out, I'm going to stream it. Denims, prior to reacting to Content Nuke, Hassan Piker. Well, guys, if you enjoyed not giving any views to that terrible video, give me a follow, subscribe, throw a prime if you like my content. Denims, after reacting to Content Nuke, Hassan Piker. Introduction, we will be skipping because that was done in this is his explaining. I'll just read the parts specific to Denims to see if they're any different from the other two, but this is just him explaining how he set the precedent in his first original court case way back in the day, him explaining who the does 1 through 10 are, the H3 Snark mods from the H3 Snark subreddit, how they promoted Denims. Yeah, that's the same. So this looks copy and pasted from the Caseytron one. They're just replacing Caseytron's name with Denims' name. Lazy reaction videos, Denims peppers or group viewing session. Okay, yeah, that's the same. Most frequently, Denims will watch long, unadulterated portions of the work and briefly pause to give short surface level. Yeah, that's the same. Writing brief commentary on the work and spreads misinformation, refuted moments later by the works themselves. Okay, so this one looks like it might be a little different. Okay, on rare occasions, when Denims does provide sporadic and brief commentary on the style or substance of the work, she spreads misinformation that is refuted moments later by the work itself, and by the most cursory level of research. Sorry. On the rarer occasions where she actually shows the factual basis for claims, her statements are refuted by the cited source itself. Such misinformation fails to serve copyright's goal of enriching public knowledge. And then they cite the court case that sets that standard. To the contrary, such misinformation diminishes it. Finally, Denims will even do an empty chair reaction, as shown in the image above, where she goes off camera for an extended period of time while leaving the video to play and keep her audience entertained. And the rest of it, the poverty of her commentary, that's the same from the other one. Copyright infringement. Jurisdiction part, we're going to skip. The parties part, we're going to skip because we know who's involved. Again, this is just them listing does 1 through 10, who are the H3 Snark mods. You can read that in the Caseytron. Factual allegations, background of Teddy Fresh Inc. We read in the Caseytron one. That's probably going to be unchanged. All right, so we'll scroll down to the part specifically about Denims. Here we go. Denims. The alt-left's answer to Kellyanne Conway. Jesus. All right. Denims LARPs, i.e. live action roleplay, as a revolutionary from the comfort of her bedroom in California. She is a prolific purveyor of misinformation and speaks with great confidence on topics where her knowledge leaves much to be desired. Denims repeatedly inserts herself into public controversies by employing poor judgment, knee-jerk contrarianism, and a constant impulse to defend the indefensible, including copyright infringement, terrorism, and extremism. Denims is one of the most loyal and ardent defenders of Hassan Piker, aka Hassanabi, referred to from this point on in the document as Hassan, the most prominent alt-left streamer on Twitch. Much like Scientologists engage in fair game, Denims ruthlessly attacks with reckless abandon anyone who disagrees with her or Hassan. She parrots Hassan's style, rhetoric, and content strategy, i.e., regularly streaming react content with minimal transformation or commentary. As such, she has assumed a leading role in Hassan's waiting room, a collection of streamers who cultishly follow Hassan and parasitically leech off his audience by streaming before and after him. On November 17th, 2023, in a now deleted video, Denims read Osama bin Laden's Letter to America in its entirety on stream. She frequently expressed agreement and support for the letter, such as, "America deserved 9/11. I can't disavow facts, man. I can't disavow reality. That's not how that works, bro." Denims continues to read from the letter. "Why do they attack us in New York and Washington? If Ariel Shannon is a man of peace in the eyes of George Bush, then we are also men of peace. America does not understand the language of manners and principles, so we are addressing it using the language it understands." Okay, so that was from the letter. That was her reading the letter out loud. Denims' response: "He's not wrong about that. The U.S. only understands violence." Bin Laden's criticisms of the United States are all correct. Despite Twitch's prohibition on terrorist propaganda, Twitch gave Denims a slap on the wrist by banning her for a singular day. On December 12th, 2022, in a now deleted video, Denims responded to the December 8th, 2022 video of June Nicole Lapine, aka Shoe on Head. Oh wow, they gave Shoe on Head's full name. Which critiqued Balenciaga's advertising campaign that depicted minors in highly sexualized BDSM attire. Rather than acknowledge the widespread concern, Denims took the absurdly grotesque position of defending Balenciaga's advertising campaign and attempted to paint Shoe on Head as homophobic, despite Shoe on Head not mentioning homosexuality whatsoever. Denims' involvement in the public controversy known as ReactGate provides great insight into her willful disregard for copyright. In early 2022, Hassan and Denims, along with several other Twitch streamers, receive intense criticism for conducting group viewing sessions of third-party copyrighted content without permission. In these group viewing sessions, streamers, like Hassan and Denims, would watch entire copyrighted works with little to no commentary, sometimes even letting the video play when they are not present or while the streamer was sleeping. The controversy reached a fever pitch when these group viewing sessions involved mainstream television shows and films. On February 1st, 2022, the online content creator known as JXE released a video entitled Hassan Piker, Jinx, and the Issue of Reaction Content. In the video, Jay drew a distinction between reaction videos that provide substantive critique and or additional insights into the original work, and lazy reaction videos that resemble group viewing sessions. In particular, Jay focused on Hassan's group viewing sessions, including, number 1, his poverty of commentary, number 2, his penchant for doing an empty chair reaction, where he lets the video play while he is completely off screen, and number 3, his failure to credit the author of the original video or link to the original content. In a now deleted response, Denims defended the unauthorized use of copyrighted content by asserting that viewers prefer watching streamers over the original, particularly when the material is quote-unquote curated. She claimed that established fair use standards are irrelevant to live streaming, including content found on Twitch, and need not be transformative through substantial commentary or editing. Rather, Denims claimed that a streamer's personality alone can justify the unauthorized rebroadcast of copyrighted material. And he provides those now deleted videos as citations. On February 6, 2025, Denims and Jay conducted a debate about the propriety of group viewing sessions that was moderated by the online content creator named Chud Logic in a video known as the debate video. During the debate, Denims makes several damning statements about her personal perception on the unauthorized use of copyrighted content. Some notable moments are listed below. Number 1, early on in the debate, Denims acknowledges that she uses third-party content as quote-unquote filler, and that it siphoned views away from the original. Quote from Denims: "I just want to be clear on my opinion on filler content and stuff. I think filler content, you shouldn't do it. I know I do it as a React streamer, and I try to do it only with Vox videos or Vice videos, stuff like that. But I'm not directly ripping from one content creator and not a whole team and stuff. And most of those videos have 5 million views. I only get 500 viewers. Likely, I'm not even going to be taken out. I'm taking maybe 50 views from the videos. It's a lot harder to feel bad about that." End quote. And he provides a timestamp of where she says that in the debate. Number 2, shortly thereafter, Denims accepts her own bias in the situation and her desire to use third-party content. "Maybe I'm coping because I'm a reactor and I want to have that content." Cites the timestamp for that phrase. Number 3, later in the debate, Denims sets forth her theory to justify a group viewing session of third-party content, that Twitch streamers are curators that provide a communal experience of watching content with their audience who do not want to take the time to find YouTube content on their own. Begin quote, you know, I'm sure if you click on a random part of the video, I might not be saying anything. Sure, whatever. I might walk away from the screen, but it's about the communal thing. And it's not about the actual show at a certain point. It's it's the same reason you watch shows with your friends. You want to watch it with other people, right? Timestamp for the debate video where she says that. Number 2, I think when it comes to streamers on Twitch, a lot of people go watch streamers on Twitch for their reaction, almost as a curator. So they don't actually want to go through YouTube themselves and watch a bunch of videos and they probably never will go through YouTube and click a bunch of videos. They like going to Twitch because they like to have it as like, this streamer is curating fun content that I want to watch. Gives a timestamp for that quote. Number 3. I think that like people who are watching content on Twitch, curated Twitch content on Twitch, aren't necessarily people that would be watching content on YouTube. Timestamp for that quote. Number 4. A lot of the time, the reason that they go and watch React streamers is because they don't want to have to do the effort of going and scrolling through YouTube and clicking on recommends. And he gives a timestamp for that quote, which I did find a slight error in their formatting here, as they did not end the quote before citing the citation. That should have been a quote right there. Anyway, continuing on. Number 5. The people who watch Twitch content are specifically there to watch it so they don't have to scroll through YouTube and find a video that they like. Gives a timestamp for that quote. Section 4. Denims, however, ultimately concedes that when a viewer watches content curated by a Twitch streamer, it serves as a substitute for the original. There's no point of watching something a second time. You already watched it. Maybe like if you're watching it with some other people or something, or it's been a really long time, you might rewatch the video. But once you watch the video in one place, it's pretty unlikely that you're going to go back and watch it again. Gives a timestamp for her quote there. Number 2. If someone watches content on someone else's stream, there is a very low likelihood that they're going to watch it separately and give you the view or the like. Gives a quote, gives a timestamp for that quote there. Background on H3 Snark. We'll be skipping over this section as this is once again copy and pasted from the other 2 that we read. So if you want to get the background of H3 Snark, I encourage you to go watch the Caseytron document reading, as I read all of these sections in that reading. It's a fun read. You guys should go check it out. As you can see, it is quite long. So we're going to be skipping a few pages here. He covers quite a lot. So if you're unfamiliar with H3 Snark and their role in this, this is definitely a part that you're going to want to see. They have a long storied history with H3. This next section is on the nuke itself. This is him explaining what's in the nuke, when he registered it for copyright and all that. So it's just background information on the video itself for the judge. I don't even think I covered that in the Caseytron video. I think I skipped this one on that one too, because if you want to know more about the nuke or want to know what's in the nuke, just go watch the nuke. I'm pretty sure everyone watching this video or is interested enough to actually see someone read this documentation, you've probably already seen it. H3 Snark promotes Denims as a substitute for watching the nuke. This is probably also copy and pasted from the Caseytron one, because H3 Snark subreddit promoted Caseytron, Denims, and Frogan. That's also going to be read in the Caseytron video. I recommend you go watch that for that section, as well as this next section, the law of fair use and reactions. This is where they outline the standards set by Ethan during his case on what constitutes the guidelines for fair use. Again, they're not hard and fast rules, they're guidelines, but if you want to know what those guidelines are and see examples of them, I read this entire section during the Caseytron reading. So I'll be skipping it here. It's also quite long. Wait, is this a new section? Ah, here we go. All right. This looks like it starts back where we're on Denims content again. Okay. Denim's group viewing session failed to make a fair use of the countdown episode. All right. So he's also referencing here the episode the episode of his podcast where he counts down to the launch of the nuke. So she also watched and infringed upon that before watching the nuke. So that's what this section is referencing, just so we're all caught up. All right. Number 64. It is readily apparent that the primary and overriding purpose of Denim's use of the countdown episode was to commercially exploit a group viewing session of the countdown episode and have it serve as a substitute for the original. This is evidenced by watching long sections of the countdown episode without any or very little interruption, frequently for several minutes at a time. In a completely separate instance, Denims provides an empty chair reaction, i.e. letting the countdown episode play while Denims is completely off screen. At a certain point, Denims informs her audience that she is going to pee. And then he references the video and the timestamp as evidence marked Exhibit K. For 2 minutes and 21 seconds, Denims lets the countdown episode play while she is off screen relieving herself. Gives a timestamp for that. When she returns, she is silent for an additional minute. Gives a timestamp for that. In total, Denim's group viewing session of the countdown episode was 1 hour, 3 minutes, and 56 seconds. During the group viewing session, Denims provided approximately 4 minutes and 43 seconds of brief and superficial commentary that usually has little critical bearing on the countdown episode. 2. 43 seconds of partially related commentary to the countdown episode that meanders into unrelated topics. And 3. 2 minutes and 12 seconds of unrelated or unintelligible comments. In simple terms, out of a total runtime of 1 hour, 3 minutes, and 56 seconds, the countdown episode played uninterrupted for nearly 88% of the total runtime. Denims also had the countdown episode take up approximately 3/4 of the screen, while she only occupies approximately a quarter of the screen that de-emphasizes her presence. Denim's objective was to provide a large and unobstructed view of the countdown episode to her audience, which further emphasizes her primary purpose was to provide a substitute for the original. Denim's use of the countdown episode was clearly commercial. Not only did she receive paid subscriptions, donations, and advertising revenue during her group viewing session, she used the countdown episode to advertise her group viewing session of the nuke, as evidenced by 1. Early on in her group viewing session, Denims adds a chyron at the top of the screen stating, "Content nuke drops at 1:30 p.m. PST." Original emphasis and timestamp provided. So he's explaining why it's in all caps. Number 2. Early on in her group viewing session, Denims adds a countdown timer for when the nuke will be publicly released. Gives a timestamp for that. Number 3. Encouraging people to watch her group viewing session of the nuke by stating, "If you want to watch it, come enjoy the watch party somewhere else." Gives a timestamp for that. Also, to the second fair use factor, the fact that the countdown episode was simultaneously broadcast with Denim's group viewing session does not weigh in her favor. Further, while containing numerous factual elements, the countdown episode contains numerous creative elements, which weigh against her claim of fair use. Number 66. As to the third fair use factor, this factor weighs heavily against her claim of fair use. It is readily apparent Denim's use was excessive for any potential criticism of the Countdown episode, particularly in light of the minimal level of commentary and highly commercial nature of Denims' group viewing session. Number 67. The fourth and most important fair use factor weighs heavily against her claim of fair use. It is readily apparent that Denims intended and succeeded to provide a market substitute for the Countdown episode for the reasons set forth below. A. Broadcasting her group viewing session of the Countdown episode at the same time the Countdown episode was broadcast. B. Showing nearly the entire Countdown episode with minimal commentary. C. The first inducement post, the second inducement post, and the third inducement post by the H3 Snark mods. So since I didn't read that during this viewing, if you want to know more about them, again, they are in the KC video, but a quick explanation. These are referencing the locked post on the H3 Snark subreddit where they promote links to Denims and other creators as market substitutes, alternate places to view this episode of the podcast as well as the nuke itself, with explicit verbiage stating that you can watch them here instead of giving views to Ethan. And those are the claims made in that. I'm not, picking a side or giving an opinion. That is how that is worded. D. Due to Denims siphoning the audience for the Countdown episode to her group viewing session, Teddy Entertainment lost views and advertising revenue it would ordinarily receive from the individuals who watched Denims' group viewing session instead of the Countdown episode itself. E. If Denims' conduct were to become widespread, i.e. simultaneously broadcasting a Teddy Fresh Inc. podcast episode with minimal commentary, it would result in further lost views and ad revenue to Teddy Fresh Inc. Next section. Denims' group viewing session failed to make fair use of the nuke. As demonstrated below, Denims' group viewing session of the nuke exemplifies her beliefs about copyright that she expressed during ReactGate. Denims' group viewing session of the nuke emphasizes 1. Her unfounded opinion that copyright infringement and fair use principles are inapplicable in the context of live streaming, particularly on Twitch. Number 2, her misguided notion that she is not obligated to transform a copyrighted work with substantial, critical commentary and editing. And number 3, her narcissistic and misplaced sense of privilege that her quote-unquote personality is sufficient enough to justify the highly commercial, unauthorized exploitation of a copyrighted work in its entirety. Denims' group viewing session of the nuke was the pinnacle of her career. At its peak, Denims' group viewing session of the nuke received approximately 45,800 concurrent viewers. This was exponentially more concurrent viewers than Denims has ever received in her entire career. Denims' group viewing session of the nuke also put Denims' online career into overdrive. In the days leading up to her group viewing session, Denims' peak concurrent viewers ranged from approximately 3,100 to 4,500. After the group viewing session of the nuke, Denims' concurrent viewers now ranges from 5,100 to 6,700. Below are true and correct screenshots from the page of Denims' Twitch channel on Twitch Tracker, a website that compiles statistical data for Twitch streamers. And there are screenshots of her most recent streams with dates attached to them, her peaks and her averages, and how long her streams were. And the numbers match what he has claimed before, as well as a chart showing her growth over time leading up to and after the nuke. As you can see, her average viewers are in green on this chart. The nuke was here, and her average viewers go way up during the nuke. Okay. It is readily apparent that the primary and overriding purpose of Denim's group viewing session of the nuke was to provide a substitute for the original. It is equally obvious that any quote-unquote commentary of the nuke was an afterthought. Denims made numerous statements explicitly stating her group viewing session was intended to serve as a substitute for the nuke. Denims entitled her group viewing session, quote, Ethan Klein Hassan Content Nuke Watch Party. This is not a drill. Original and added emphasis, meaning that it was in all caps originally, and he added the emphasis of underlining the words watch party, which she put in her title. Shortly before her group viewing session of the nuke, Denims reads a message from her chat stating, We're relying on you to stay live so we don't give more views to the nuke. Denims replies to that message with, Yeah, I'm going to. I'm going to stream it since he, referring to Ethan, confirmed it's coming out today. We're going to stream it. Immediately prior to and throughout Denim's group viewing session of the nuke, she prominently displayed a chyron at the top of the screen that stated, Watching Hassan Content Nuke from Ethan Klein. And he gives a timestamp for where the judge can see that. During Denim's group viewing session, Denims responds to a chatter by stating, Unfortunately, we are watching the Ethan nuke. Gives a timestamp for when she says this. Immediately after her group viewing session of the nuke, Denims states, number 1, Well guys, if you enjoyed not giving any views to that terrible video, follow, subscribe, throw a prime, if you like the content, if you enjoyed your time here. He gives timestamps for this statement. Number 2, I appreciate you guys tuning in with me because, I'm going to be honest, I did not want to watch that by myself. He gives a timestamp for when she says this. On February 1st, 2025, i.e. the day after Denim's group viewing session of the nuke, Denims stated, begin quote, Later, after streaming, I found out I got signal boosted by Hassan, Hascord, and the subreddit. What is it called? H3 Snark. And I know all of those people didn't want to give the video, i.e. the nuke, another view, which is why they watched it with me, and probably a lot of people, because they ended their H3 show immediately before releasing the video. So there probably was a lot of people that came to watch it here, because they want to see what someone who would disagree with it would say. Denim's attempt to feign ignorance of H3 Snark is transparently and comically false. Rather, it is clear that Denims and the H3 Snark mods coordinated their efforts. Indeed, after ending her group viewing session of the nuke, Denim's screen shows that she had the H3 Snark subreddit on her screen the entire time. Gives a timestamp for when you can see this on her stream. Denims begins her group viewing session of the nuke 1 minute after the nuke was released to the public. Gives a timestamp for when she started. The timing of Denim's group viewing session of the nuke demonstrates that she did not pre-screen it to formulate her opinions prior to the broadcast. Rather, Denims timed her group viewing session to occur immediately after the nuke was released to capitalize on the great public interest in the nuke and siphon as many viewers as possible away from the original to herself. In other words, her priority was to personally and financially benefit from providing a substitute to the original, and any commentary and criticism was a mere afterthought. On 74 separate occasions, Denim's group viewing session consisted of watching the nuke for 30 seconds or more with no commentary whatsoever, or at most an unintelligible word or phrase. In total, these excerpts comprise over 70 minutes of the nuke, i.e. 70% of its total runtime. The poverty of Denim's commentary, coupled by the frequently showing long, unadulterated portions of the nuke, further demonstrate that the overriding and dominant purpose of Denim's group viewing session was to serve as a substitute for the original and not to provide critical commentary. And he gives timestamps for when she's not reacting, as well as how long she's not reacting. And there are 72 instances of this, I believe. 74 instances of this. He gives the length of each one and adds them all up to the totals he provided above. Okay. For the majority of her group viewing session, Denims speaks briefly after showing a much longer excerpt of the nuke. The fact that the excerpts Denims shows of the nuke frequently eclipse her statements further emphasizes that the primary purpose of her group viewing session was to provide a substitute for the original, and any commentary was merely an afterthought. During Denim's group viewing session, she admits she is not providing sufficient commentary because she does not want to pause frequently. This further emphasizes the primary purpose of the group viewing session was to watch the nuke, and any commentary was an afterthought. Quotes from Denims. Number 1. If I sat here and explained why he was wrong for like half of these things, we would be here for another 20 hours. I've gone in and tried to explain why he's incorrect on like 1 in every 10 correct takes because I'm not trying to spend an entire week here. He provides a timestamp for this quote. Number 2. I don't even understand what to say about because, yeah, this is wrong because of this, another wrong take. Okay, well, I just paused it for like 10 minutes. I feel bad pausing it again because surely there'll be something better here. He gives a timestamp for this quote. Denim's admission that she failed to address the majority of points raised in the nuke is self-evident. This further emphasizes that Denim's primary purpose was to host a group viewing session of the nuke, and that any criticism was an afterthought. Denims fails to address the following points raised in the prologue of the nuke. Number 1, Ethan's criticism of Hassan's takes on Russia and Chinese imperialism and genocide, particularly Crimea and the Uyghurs. Number 2, the torrent of anti-Semitic comments Ethan received from Hassan's chat after October the 7th. Number 3, the primary difference of opinion between Ethan and Hassan on the Israel-Palestine conflict. Number 4, footage showing Hassan supporting terrorism and expressing hatred of liberals. And number 5, Ethan's concern that Hassan radicalized his audience. Denims fails to address the majority of the Twitch parody sketch. Denims fails to address the following points raised in the Houthi section of the nuke. Number 1, Ethan's criticism of Houthi atrocities, namely recruiting child soldiers, shelling and blocking aid to civilians, ruining agricultural land, oppression of women, and slavery, including how this contradicts leftist values. Number 2, how Hassan violated Twitch's community guidelines by promoting and glorifying Houthi propaganda to Nick, including the Houthi music video and the hijacking of the Galaxy Leader. Number 3, Ethan's criticism of Hassan's glorification of another Houthi music video and its juxtaposition to the Miami Boys Choir. Number 4, the majority of Ethan's criticisms of Hassan holding himself out as a journalist and his interview of Al-Hadid. Number 5, the evidence demonstrating that al-Hadid is a member of the Houthis. And number 6, how Hassan uses genocide to deflect criticism. Denims fails to address the following points raised in the Hezbollah section of the nuke. Number 1, Ethan's criticism of Hezbollah's atrocities, including how this contradicts leftist values. Number 2, the majority of Ethan's criticism of Hassan attempting to radicalize Nick. And number 3, Hassan's apologia for Hezbollah. Denims fails to address the following points raised in the Hamas section of the nuke. Number 1, Ethan's criticism of Hamas atrocities and its leaders, along with how this contradicts leftist values. Number 2, Ethan's criticism of Hassan glorifying Hamas propaganda. And number 3, Ethan's thesis on how to achieve peace in the conflict. Denims fails to address the following points raised in the Twitch section of the nuke. Number 1, Clancy's ineffectiveness as CEO and forcing Twitch employees to participate in Hassan's happy birthday video. Number 2, Ethan's criticism of Frogan's purity test of Ludwig and how Twitch props up Frogan. Number 3, the reasons why the racial tier list made Ethan uncomfortable. Number 4, Clancy banning people asking about anti-Semitism during the Q&A session. Number 5, Twitch replatforming and hiring anti-Semitics. And number 6, Twitch biased and inconsistent enforcement of its community guidelines. Denims even mocks the nuke for making a fair use of third-party clips by stating, quote, "Isn't it weird that a lot of these clips are like 5 seconds short, not 5 seconds long, 5 seconds short?" He gives a timestamp for this quote. This statement reveals Denims' complete and total ignorance of fair use, particularly in the context of reaction videos. When Denims does speak during her group viewing session, most of her statements are brief, particularly in relation to the preceding segment shown of the nuke, and have no critical bearing or minimal critical bearing on the style or substance of the nuke. Below are some examples. Number 1, on numerous occasions, Denims makes utterances that are completely incoherent or unclear. He gives timestamps for such occurrences. Number 2, Denims spends time speaking with her chat about topics completely unrelated or only minimally related to the nuke. He gives timestamps for such occurrences. Number 3, Denims spends time discussing unrelated or minimally related topics, such as, number 1, an unrelated meme. He gives a timestamp for this occurrence. Number 2, conducting a poll. He gives a timestamp for this occurrence. Number 3, referencing the length of the nuke, i.e., at, and he gives timestamps for this occurrence. Number 4, announcing a raid. Another streamer directing their audience to Denims. He gives a timestamp for this occurrence. Number 5, attacking a chatter who critiques her. He gives a timestamp for this occurrence. Number 6, claiming she is going insane. Gives a timestamp for this occurrence. Number 7, that she wants to play the video game Marvel Rivals. Gives a timestamp for this occurrence. Number 8, her cat. Gives the timestamps for her cat. Number 9, that the streamer Emain Anis, aka Pokimane, who, like Denims, is of Moroccan ancestry, speaks fake Arabic. He gives a timestamp for that occurrence. Number 10, making crass jokes about Ben Shapiro and his love life. Gives a timestamp for that occurrence. And number 11, a technical issue. Gives a timestamp for that occurrence. Denims frequently makes superficial comments with little to no elaboration, such as, number 1, the nuke resembles a high school project or middle school project. Gives a timestamp for these quotes. Number 2, narrating what is depicted. Gives a timestamp. Number 3, that Ethan is, quote unquote, so brave. Gives a timestamp for that occurrence. Number 4, Ethan's performance resembles someone on the, quote unquote, first day of acting class. Gives a timestamp for that occurrence. Number 5, that she is, quote unquote, going to die of cringe and begs it to, quote unquote, end. Gives a timestamp for that occurrence. Number 6, that Ethan is, quote unquote, crashing out. He provides a timestamp. Number 7, complaining about the editing. He provides a timestamp. Number 8, that the video treats the audience as, quote unquote, morons and is trying to, quote unquote, trick them. He provides a timestamp. Number 9, that Ethan is putting out, quote unquote, garbage. She provides a timestamp. Number 10, complimenting her own outfit. He provides a timestamp. And number 11, excitement that a particular clip of her is shown in the nuke. Provides a timestamp. Since Denims did not pre-screen the nuke, she frequently expresses confusion about a particular excerpt of the nuke she just watched. He provides several timestamps. Since Denims did not pre-screen the nuke, she frequently makes comments that are later contradicted by the nuke itself. If Denims' primary purpose was to comment on the nuke, she could have easily avoided these embarrassing moments by watching the nuke beforehand and taking the time to formulate her critique. The reason Denims failed to do so is obvious. Her primary purpose was to host a group viewing session of the nuke immediately upon its release, and any commentary was an afterthought. Below are some examples of Denims making comments on the nuke that are later refuted by the nuke itself. Number 1, in the section of the nuke discussing Hassan's apology of China's genocide and enslavement of the Uyghurs, she claims that Ethan fails to point out how Hassan is wrong. He provides a timestamp. Shortly after making these comments, the nuke provides the evidence that Denims claims was absent. Provides another timestamp. After seeing the evidence, Denims just expresses confusion. And another timestamp. In the section discussing the types of fans Hassan attracts, such as online content creator, dating, and money, Denims claims that Dating and Money is not a Hassan fan, but a fan of another streamer. Immediately after making this comment, the nuke shows a clip of Dating and Money meeting Hassan and effusively praising him. Provides a timestamp. In the section discussing Al-Hadid, Denims claims there is no evidence demonstrating he is a member or supporter of the Houthis. Provides a timestamp. Shortly thereafter, the nuke shows Al-Hadid's social media posts that refute this assertion, and Denims provides no comment. In the section discussing Nasrallah, Denims claims that the difference between Ethan and Hassan is that Ethan praises former Israeli Minister of Defense, Yoav Gallant, which is false, and Hassan never praised Nasrallah. Immediately after making this claim, Denims plays the excerpt from the nuke where Hassan praises Nasrallah. In the section discussing the systematic use of rape on October 7th, Denims repeatedly denies any rapes occurred. She is immediately confronted with the headlines from news organizations, victims' testimony, and a United Nations report refuting her denials. He provides several timestamps. When Ethan cites the ban of Destiny as an example of Twitch's inconsistent enforcement of its community guidelines, Denims claims that the ban was due to Destiny's statements condoning Kyle Rittenhouse's killing protesters, only to realize that the ban was due to Destiny calling Keffels, quote-unquote, inbred. Due to Denims' inability to critique the style or substance of the nuke, She frequently goes on long and completely unrelated tangents that have nothing to do with the style or substance of the nuke. Some notable examples are provided below. Number 1. After Ethan's critique of Hassan's apologia of Chinese imperialism and authoritarianism, Denims goes on a nonsensical tangent about the Chinese credit score system, which is not discussed or referenced in the nuke whatsoever. Provides a timestamp. Number 2. After Ethan's critique of Hassan's apologia of China's genocide of the Uyghurs, Denims goes on a rambling diatribe about 1. That no one cares about the Uyghurs. Number 2. Western media. Number 3. The United States is worse than China. Number 4. Falsely stating that disabled Americans lose disability benefits when they get married. Number 5. Incarceration levels in the United States. And number 6. The treatment of transgender individuals in the United States. He provides timestamps. Number 3. After Ethan's critique of Frogan, Denims goes on a protracted tangent about how Frogan is more American than her. Provides a timestamp. True to form, Denims makes statements based on hallucinatory misrepresentation of the contents of the nuke by shadowboxing an imaginary version of the nuke completely divorced from reality. Denims fails to address the actual style or substance of the original. Some notable examples include, number 1, in the section of the nuke concerning Ethan and Hassan's discussion shortly after October 7th, Ethan critiques an online figure supported by Hassan who legitimizes killing Israeli infants by calling them baby settlers, and Hassan's attempt to justify the use of the term. Denims misrepresents the excerpt and claims Ethan called Palestinian infants, quote-unquote, baby terrorists, and Hassan attempted to humanize the infants of Israeli settlers. He provides a timestamp. Number 2, in the section where Ethan critiques Hassan's, quote-unquote, head mod, Denims claims that Ethan called Frogan the, quote-unquote, head mod, despite Ethan never making such a statement. Provides a timestamp. Number 3, after Ethan explains that he is now called a quote-unquote Nazi after advocating a two-state interim solution, Denims claims Ethan asserted that Hassan told people to call him a Nazi, which Ethan never claimed. He provides a timestamp. Number 4, after Ethan critiques Hassan's claim that the Houthis hijacked ships to cause Israeli to leave Israel from the economic inconvenience, Denims rewrites the excerpt by claiming Hassan stated the Houthis are placing economic pressure on Israel to induce them to pressure their government to end the war in Gaza. He provides a timestamp. Number 5. After Ethan shows photographs he took in Israel of Mizrahi Jews preparing and selling hummus, Denims makes the bizarre claim that Ethan is assuming they are Israelis, despite Ethan having just explained that they were photographs of Mizrahi Jews from Israel. He provides a timestamp. Take a quick sip of water here. Again, true to form, Denims repeatedly makes brief, blithe, and unsubstantiated assertions throughout her group viewing session of the nuke. The vast majority of these remarks are misleading or false. Denims' unwillingness or inability to substantiate her assertions further emphasizes that Denims' primary purpose was not to critique the nuke, but to provide a substitute for it. If the opposite were true, Denims would have taken the time to compile the evidence to substantiate her assertions. Examples include: Number 1. After Ethan critiques Hassan for employing rhetoric that reveals he does not consider Israelis to be human, provides a timestamp, Denims makes the conclusionary assertion that Ethan defamed Hassan without any further explication, provides a timestamp. Number 2, frequently, Denims claims that Ethan uses clips out of context, yet she never shows or explains the omitted context, provides several timestamps. Number 3, Denims repeatedly claims that Ethan praised Israel's former Minister of Defense, Yoav Gallant, provides timestamps. This is false, as demonstrated below. Number 1, on November 6th, 2024, Hila critiqued Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu by stating, quote, "Just the other day, Bibi fired a really good guy that a lot of people are pissed about, and he fired him because they had a disagreement." Ethan clarified by stating he was a, quote, "moderating voice in the war room," end quote. This was correct insofar as Netanyahu fired Gallant, in large part due to Gallant's criticism of Netanyahu's handling of the war in Gaza, and the Israeli public protested Gallant's dismissal. Number 2, on November 8th, 2024, after Hila was criticized for calling Gallant a quote-unquote really good guy, Ethan clarified and provided context to the statements, with Hila adding, quote, "I feel like the reason I brought it up was mainly to express the frustration with Bibi and him firing the one guy that was somewhat, attempting at moderation. It wasn't really so much to say that Gallant is a good guy. I shouldn't have used that word. That was a bad choice on my part, considering stuff that he has said that I was not even thinking of," end quote. Number 4, Denims claims that propaganda does not require lying, gives a timestamp. The Oxford Dictionary disagrees and defines propaganda as, quote, "the systematic dissemination of misinformation. Example, in biased or misleading way, in order to promote a particular cause or point of view," end quote. Denims repeatedly invokes the online content creator Ostenox without providing any further explanation on how it is relevant, provides timestamp. Number 6, Denims repeatedly makes the misleading claim that Ethan performed a Nazi salute, provides timestamp. Denims intentionally omits the fact that Ethan was making fun of Elon Musk performing a Nazi salute at President Trump's inauguration. Number 7, after Ethan refutes Hassan's conscientious about why the Houthis hijacked the Galaxy leader, provides a timestamp, Denims claims that half of what Ethan showed is false without identifying the falsehoods, let alone demonstrating how they were false, provides a timestamp. Number 8, Denims claims that it is impossible that 60% of Israelis are from the Middle East, gives a timestamp. Unsurprisingly, Denims' statement is baseless. A 2019 peer-reviewed study found that well over 55% of Israeli Jews are either fully or partially Mizrahi, Sephardi, or Ethiopian heritage. More recent data from the Jewish People Policy Institute confirms that a substantial majority of Israelis self-identify as Mizrahi or mixed origin. Number 9, Denims misleadingly claims that the Houthis were designated as a terrorist organization only after Hassan's January 16, 2024 interview with al-Hadid. Timestamp provided. prior to February 2021, the Houthis were designated as a specially designated global terrorist and a foreign terrorist organization. In February 2021, President Biden delisted the Houthis from both of these lists. On January 17th, 2024, the day after Hassan's interview with al-Hadid, President Biden redesignated the Houthis as specially designed global terrorists. Number 9. After showing excerpts of Hassan's interview with al-Hadid, timestamp provided, Denims claims that there was a mistranslation during the interview. It should come as no surprise that Denims fails to identify what was mistranslated, let alone correct the translation. Number 11. After the section where Ethan critiques Hassan's coverage of the release of Israeli hostages, timestamp provided, Denims claims that YouTube does not require censoring such footage and implies Ethan is doing so to intentionally obfuscate the facts. She also makes the outlandish claim that Hamas treated the Israeli hostages well. Provides a timestamp. All of this is false. In order for Teddy Entertainment Incorporated to monetize the nuke, YouTube required that footage of hostages, such as the release of the Israeli hostages and the Houthi takeover of the Galaxy Leader, be censored. Further, it is well documented that Hamas killed, sexually assaulted, tortured, and starved the Israeli hostages, including forcing them to participate in grotesque propaganda at gunpoint. These abuses are confirmed by multiple human rights organizations. He cites the human rights organizations below. Human Rights Watchdog documented unlawful abduction, extrajudicial executions, torture, coerced media appearances, and sexual violence. Number 2, Amnesty International detailed systematic beatings, humiliation, denial of medical care, and psychological abuse of both hostages and their families. Number 3, the United Nations Human Rights Council found that Palestinian armed groups engaged in war crimes and, in certain cases, crimes against humanity. Section 12. Later, during the section where Ethan points out that Hamas ordered the hostages to quote-unquote keep waving, provides a timestamp, Denims claims that the individual who said keep waving directed the statement to someone other than the hostages, provides a timestamp. Once again, Denims' statement is false. In the video, which Denims claims to have seen, it is evident the statement was directed at the hostages because they immediately start waving in response. Number 13. Denims repeatedly claims that the New York Times and President Biden had to retract claims of rape occurring on October 7th, provides several timestamps. This is false. The New York Times did not retract its article about rapes occurring on October 7th. While President Biden did clarify his statement that 40 babies were beheaded on October 7th, he never retracted the claims of rape occurring on October 7th. Section 14. After showing an excerpt of United Nations report on sexual violence occurring on October 7th, provides a timestamp, Denims claims the report was discredited without any supporting evidence, provides a timestamp. Not only is Denims' statement cruelly and grotesquely false, the United Nations report was affirmed by multiple credible sources, such as, number 1, Human Rights Watch cited United Nations report and Human Rights Watch own report, which also independently found evidence of sexual and gender-based violence during the October 7th attacks. Number 2, Physicians for Human Rights Israel confirmed it would rely on the United Nations report. Number 3, in February 2024, the Association of Rape Crisis Centers in Israel published a report that aligns with the findings of the United Nations report. Number 4. The United Kingdom's Minister for the Middle East cited the United Nations report at the UN Secretary Council that there was, quote-unquote, reasonable grounds and, quote-unquote, clear and convincing evidence of sexual and gender-based violence occurring on October 7th. Number 5. The European Union Council found that Hamas committed systematic sexual violence as a weapon of war on October 7th. Number 6. The International Criminal Court prosecutor announced grounds to charge Hamas leadership with crimes against humanity based upon systematic rapes and sexual assaults occurring on October 7th. Number 15. When Ethan discusses Frogan's statements that she wished soldiers in the United States military get PTSD and lose their health insurance, Denims claims Frogan's apologized for the comment immediately afterward. Provides a timestamp. This is false 3 times over. Not only did Frogan fail to immediately apologize, she never apologized and even doubled down on the statement. Number 1. On or shortly before October 16th, 2024, Frogan made the aforementioned statement. Number 2. On or before October 20th, 2024, Frogan doubled down on her statement by reacting to it, giggling, and claiming her statement was, quote-unquote, based. Number 3. Only after Frogan was publicly execrated for her cruel comments, Frogan made a post on X that attempted to justify her statement. At the end of her post, Frogan tepidly walked back her vicious attack on veterans by adding, quote, I realize that wishing people harm isn't the best way to talk about these issues, and that I could have talked about these topics in a more sensitive way. End quote. Just a moment. I'm going to take a drink here. Number 16. Also, during the same section, Denims attempts to deflect criticism from Frogan by claiming she was emotional due to a recent article about the IDF bulldozing Palestinians. He provides a timestamp. This is false twice over. First, the purported video documenting the alleged bulldozing of Palestinians was debunked as being filmed in Egypt a decade prior. Second, the news report on this purported event occurred in December of 2023, i.e. 10 months prior to Frogan's statements on October 2024. Number 17. After Ethan discusses Frogan offering to make a cake recreating 9/11, Denims claims that Frogan was given a 30-day ban for doing so. He provides a timestamp. This is false. Frogan was given a 30-day ban for her involvement in the racial tier list at TwitchCon 2024. This is evidenced by the fact that all the other panelists, including Denims, received the same punishment at the same time. Section 18. Denims makes the completely unsubstantiated claim that, like Frogan and Hassan, Ethan also made jokes about 9/11. Provides a timestamp. Number 9. Denims also makes the unsubstantiated claim that Ethan denied the IDF engaged in systematic rape. Provides a timestamp. This is false. Ethan acknowledged that the IDF engaged in sexual violence, exhibited genuine curiosity about learning more, evaluated additional sources, repeatedly stated that he was not denying the claim, and even Hassan admitted that he misspoke by asserting such claims of systematic rape were well documented. Section 20. After Ethan criticizes Frogan's podcast for stating that Israelis cannot, quote-unquote, claim hummus, Denims states that the podcast critique was not that Israelis claim hummus, but they claim to have, quote-unquote, invented it. He provides a timestamp. This is false, as made clear by the podcast episode itself. The participants, including Frogan, never mention inventing hummus. Rather, they took issue with Israelis claiming hummus. Section 21. Denims, who is not Jewish, makes the grotesquely bigoted statement that it is anti-Semitic to associate Zionism, i.e. the Jewish right to self-determination in their ancestral homeland, with Judaism. Provides a timestamp. Shortly thereafter, a chatter confronts Denims by explaining that approximately 90% of Jews are Zionist without any substantiation. Denims claims that this was derived from a poll with a sample size of 26 and that 1/3 of Jews think Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. Provides a timestamp. Denims' assertion is completely and totally baseless. Number 1. A 2019-2020 Pew Research Center survey of 4,718 American Jews found 82% considered caring about Israel to be, quote-unquote, essential or, quote-unquote, important to what it means to be Jewish. Number 2. In another poll conducted in December of 2024 of 800 American Jewish adults, 70% think anti-Zionist movements are anti-Semitic by definition, and only 9% strongly disagree with that statement. On the exceedingly rare instance where Denims does cite eccentric sources, Denims, unsurprisingly, completely misrepresents the source material. This further evidences that she was utterly unprepared to provide criticism of the nuke, and the extent of her criticism suffers as a result. Below are some notable examples. Number 1. During the section where Ethan discusses the forced expulsion of Mizrahi Jews from Arab countries, Denims makes the maliciously aristocratical assertion that Jews are treated well in Arab countries, even claiming to be well read on the subject. It is evident that Denims fundamentally fails to grasp the horrors Jews endured in Arab countries. For example, Denims claims that Vichy France, i.e. Nazi-occupied France, sent Moroccan Jews to Israel. To support her claim, Denims pulls up the Wikipedia article entitled History of Jews in Morocco. The Wikipedia article, but strategically conceals the Wikipedia article's title. He provides a timestamp. The Wikipedia article refutes her, quote-unquote, well-read assertion. Vichy France sent Moroccan Jews to Europe to be exterminated and not to Israel. Number 2. Further, it is painfully obvious that Denims either did not read the Wikipedia article or failed to understand it. The article documents 1,000 years of Moroccan Jews being massacred, subjugated under the Dahami apartheid system, including forced to pay jizya, wear certain clothing, live in certain areas, employed restrictive modes of transportation, and prohibited from engaging in certain types of work. Rape, state-sanctioned abuse, destruction of synagogues, ethnic cleansing, and forced conversion. One of the most tragically absurd episodes documented in the Wikipedia involved the Sultan Suleiman finally allowing the Jews of Fez to wear shoes. So many Jews were slaughtered by the Arab neighbors as a result that the Jews of Fez begged the Sultan to repeal the edict, which he did. Number 2. Denims makes the incendiary claim that Ethan is scared of Arabic and the muezzin call. She frenetically tries to find the clip to support her assertion, but gives up. He provides a timestamp. After someone in her chat sends her a link, she eagerly plays the clip. When it is evident that her claim is a grossly inaccurate mischaracterization, Denims' excitement evaporates as she silently moves on from the point. He provides a clip. He provides a timestamp for that clip. Just a moment, I'm going to take another drink. During her group viewing session, the nuke takes up approximately 3/4 of the screen for Denims' group viewing session, while Denims sequesters herself to the right-hand corner to de-emphasize her presence. Denims' objective was to provide a large and unobstructed view of the nuke to her audience, which further emphasizes her primary purpose was to provide a substitute for the original. To be certain, Denims, albeit infrequently and inconsistently, makes a highly transformative use of the nuke, where the nuke seeks to expose how Hassan radicalizes people online to be anti-Semitic and anti-Israeli. Denims attempts to use the nuke for the exact opposite purpose, to radicalize her audience to be anti-Semitic and anti-Israeli, along with defending Hassan. The transformative nature of these moments are undermined, if not erased, by showing far more of the nuke than is necessary to achieve this purpose. Some examples are identified above, but also include: number 1. Denims will repeatedly glorify terrorism and terrorists, such as: number 1. Glorifying the Houthis' footage of the hijacking of the Galaxy leader. He provides a timestamp. Number 2. Glorifying the leader of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah. He provides a timestamp. Number 3. Attacking a chatter critiquing her glorification of Hezbollah. Provides a timestamp. Number 4. Excusing the homophobia of terrorist groups. A timestamp is provided. Number 5. Glorifying Hamas propaganda. He provides a timestamp. And number 6. Excusing the anti-Semitism of terrorists. He provides several timestamps. Denims also attempts, albeit unsuccessfully, to excuse Hassan's hypocrisies, such as: number 1. His highly consumerist spending. He provides a timestamp. And number 2, his defense of Hamas. He provides a timestamp. Denims repeatedly attempts to justify her own anti-Semitism and, even more absurd, paint Ethan as an anti-Semite. Several timestamps are provided. In one instance, Denims goes on a long tangent by showing a clip in its entirety of Norman Finkelstein with little commentary to justify her own bigotry. He provides a timestamp. Denims also carries water for Clancy. When Ethan critiques Clancy's obsession with e-girls on the Twitch platform, Denims seeks to excuse this lecherous behavior by making the tone-deaf claim that Clancy's obsession with e-girls is a sign of his virility. He provides a timestamp. Finally, Denims' use of a nuke was highly commercial. This is evidenced by: number 1, her statement, quote, "Well, guys, if you enjoyed not giving any views to that terrible video, follow, subscribe, throw a prime if you like the content, if you enjoyed your time over here. End quote. He provides a timestamp. Number 2, on 174 separate occasions during her group viewing session of the nuke, Denims receives paid subscriptions, donations, and bits. Each of these paid subscriptions and donations would result in a graphic being superimposed over the nuke. Number 3, Denims ran advertisements during her group viewing session and of the nuke and received advertising revenue as a result. Number 4, on her Twitch page where Denims' group viewing session was located, Denims placed buttons soliciting paid subscriptions and donations beneath the video of Denims' group viewing session of the nuke. Number 5, the clear coordination between Denims and the H3 Snark mods and others to direct as many viewers to her group viewing session of the nuke to avoid gaining views and ad revenue for Teddy Fresh Incorporated. I'm sorry, Teddy Entertainment Incorporated. It's a separate thing. Number 71. As to the second fair use factor. Did I miss something? Okay, let's make sure I didn't miss something. As to the second fair use factor, the fact the nuke was released a minute prior to her group viewing session does not weigh in her favor. Further, while containing numerous documentary and factual elements, the nuke contains numerous creative elements which weigh against her claim of fair use. As to the third fair use factor, this factor weighs heavily against fair use. It is readily apparent Denims' use was excessive for any potential criticism of the nuke, particularly in light of minimal level of commentary and highly commercial nature of Denims' group viewing session. This is especially true when Denims repeatedly provides brief statements, many of which have little to no critical bearing on the nuke, after showing long, unadulterated segments of the nuke. Number 73. The fourth and most important fair use factor weighs the most heavily against her claim of fair use. It is readily apparent that Denims intended and succeeded to provide a market substitute for the nuke for the reasons set forth below. A. The statements identified in paragraph 70A and 70PI above. B. Showing the nuke in its entirety with minimal commentary. C. Starting her group viewing session a minute after the nuke was released to the public when the interest in the nuke was at its apex. D. The first inducement post, second inducement post, and third inducement post by the H3 Snark mods. Slight citation here, just a reminder. You can get an explanation of what those are and see them in the KC-tron reading. E. Due to Denims siphoning the audience for the nuke to her group viewing session, Teddy Entertainment Incorporated lost views and advertising revenue it would ordinarily receive from the individuals who watched Denims' group viewing session instead of the nuke. F. Denims' conduct did become widespread. Several other members of Hassan's waiting room conducted a group viewing session of the nuke immediately after its release, which resulted in further lost views and lost advertising revenue to Teddy Entertainment Inc. First claim for relief for direct copyright infringement against Denims. Teddy Entertainment Incorporated. I'm just going to start saying TEI from now on. Makes it a little more digestible and easier to say. TEI incorporates, by reference, the allegations contained in the preceding paragraphs of this complaint. TEI is the soul of the copyrights in the Countdown episode and the nuke. I'm assuming they mean sole owner of the copyrights. TEI registered its copyrights with the Countdown episode and the nuke with the United States Copyright Office. Denims assessed 1. The Countdown episode from TEI's YouTube channel, H3 Podcast, and 2. The nuke from TEI's YouTube channel, H3H3 Productions. TEI did not grant any license, authorization, or consent for Denims to exploit the Countdown or the Nuke in any manner. Rather, Denims' group viewing session of the Countdown episode and the Nuke constituted an unauthorized reproduction. Public performance and derivative work of the Countdown episode and the Nuke in violation of TEI's rights set forth in 17 U.S.C. Section 106. Due to Denims' acts of copyright infringement, TEI has suffered damages in an amount to be established at trial. Due to Denims' acts of copyright infringement, Denims obtained profits she would not have realized but for her infringement of TEI's copyrights in the Countdown episode and the Nuke. Denims' acts of copyright infringement were done with actual or constructive knowledge of TEI's rights, such that said acts of copyright infringement were willful, intentional, malicious, and or taken with reckless disregard for TEI's rights. Second claim for relief. TEI incorporates by reference the allegations contained in the preceding paragraphs of this complaint. The H3 Snark mods, and each one of them, knew Denims' group viewing session would infringe TEI's copyrights in the Countdown episode and the Nuke. The H3 Snark mods, and each one of them, are responsible for the first inducement post, the second inducement post, and the third inducement post. The first inducement post, second inducement post, and third inducement post induced, caused, and or materially contributed to Denims' infringement of the Countdown episode and the Nuke. Due to the H3 Snark mods' contributory infringement, TEI has suffered damages in an amount to be established at trial. The H3 Snark mods' acts of contributory infringement were made with actual or constructive knowledge of TEI's rights, such that said acts of contributory infringement were willful, intentional, malicious, and or taken with reckless disregard for TEI's rights. Prayer for relief. Wherefore, TEI prays for judgment against Denims and the H3 Snark mods, collectively known from here on out as defendants, as follows: that TEI be awarded defendants and each of their profits, plus TEI's losses, attributable to defendants' infringement of the copyright episode, the exact sum to be proven at the time of trial. That TEI be awarded defendants and each of their profits, plus TEI's loss, attributable to defendants' infringement of the Nuke, the exact sum to be provided at the time of trial, or, if elected, statutory damages in the amount of $150,000 as available under 17 U.S.C. Section 504. TEI to be awarded its reasonable attorney's fees and cost under 17 U.S.C. Section 505. TEI be awarded prejudgment interest as allowed by law, and TEI be rewarded such further relief as the court deems proper. F. Jury trial demand. TEI demands a jury trial on all issues so trialable pursuant of Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 38 and the 7th Amendment of the United States Constitution. Dated June 9th, 2025. Okie dokie. That concludes the reading of the Denims lawsuit filing. There's a lot in here. I have a lot of thoughts and a lot to go over. If you came here for the reading and are not interested in my thoughts, you may leave now. However, I do recommend you stay for my thoughts because I have quite a few. I'm trying to remember everything I had because there was a lot in here. I'll start by saying that this document, as well as the other two, does provide a lot of arguably let me get this off the screen for you guys. That this provides a lot of arguably unnecessary information and provides more context than is needed Some would even argue it's maybe a bit off topic at times, and I would agree. You probably could cut large sections of that. It does seem as if they wanted to cover all of their bases and give as much background and context as possible to someone who may be introduced to this cast of characters for the first time. It does seem a bit vindictive at times. And the judge may end up making them rewrite the complaint. The complaint may end up being amended on some of these. We won't know until those go to trial. I do believe the points that are being made about, where some people would argue that it goes off topic and it gets too in the weeds with the politics and who's right and who's wrong here, and here. The purpose of that was to show that her commentary was not well thought out and not substantial to the material in question, thus not providing any transformation or added value to the product itself. So that's the purpose there, which is 100% on topic for the terms of fair use. You don't have to pre-watch videos in order to have valuable commentary to them. The point being made here is that Denims was watching a video. She wasn't knowledgeable enough on the topics in question to provide necessary commentary to add value without pre-watching it first to form her opinions. You can watch stuff in real time and form good opinions that add value. But you must first be knowledgeable on the topic of the thing you are watching and be well versed enough in that topic to form those opinions and comments in real time to add that value. So the reason behind that claim and pointing that out in this is to emphasize that she is not knowledgeable on these topics and not well versed enough to provide commentary in real time, and thus should not be attempting to do so. This is proven over and over again, where she makes a statement and then immediately after she makes a statement, she unpauses the video and the video contradicts her statement. I'm glad that he's calling out the H3 Snark mods and the tactic that you saw displayed specifically in this reading. And it is the same tactic that I call out time and time again on Twitter when I see it, and in YouTube comments when I see it. And it is the same response literally every time, including her time in this, where a claim is made and you are asked for some kind of elaboration on the claim, and they cannot provide it. They will oftentimes claim that, not even against Ethan, this just seems to be a common thing online, and I'm glad that it's being called out so that if this does go to trial, we can have a trial to point at where this thing was referenced in court and a judge had this to say about it. It is a cancer-like habit that people have online where they will make a claim that a creator or a politician or somebody said something and then not provide you with a clip of that thing being said. And when asked, hey, I don't remember them saying that. You got a clip? Can you tell me where they said it? You are met with anger and insults instead of evidence. It is extremely disingenuous and frustrating. Should be called out every time you see it. And hopefully you won't get blocked by the person saying it so that you can't respond. Another pet peeve of mine. There was a particular section in this where she mentioned losing health care or losing your access to disability when you get married. I find this particularly funny from someone who is both single and single, not on disability, and unmarried. I am married to a woman who is on disability. When we got married, She did not lose that disability. She was born with sickle cell. She's had it her entire life. It has rendered her disabled, and marrying me did not invalidate that. That is ridiculous. I don't know where she got that information. I don't know why she would say something so absolutely idiotic. But it is false. I don't need to look it up. I have the lived experience of knowing that is not what happens. A lot of the statements made by these people are by people who have no lived experience of it and are just making assumptions without taking the 2 seconds necessary to fact check themselves before saying it, to educate themselves on a topic before making comments about it. She could have the comment in her head and decide she's going to Google it before making the statement to make sure she's right. I do that often on this very stream. I'll think something and I'll go, let me look this up first. And you guys will see me Google something before I say it to make sure I'm correct. And if I'm not correct, I don't say that thing. I don't understand how we live in an age where all the information, almost all the information in existence is at your fingertips at a moment's notice. We all have a magic rectangle in our pocket that we don't even have to type to. We can press a button, ask it a thing, and 9 times out of 10, it will give you a correct answer. Is it perfect? No. But to not try at all is completely unacceptable. My mind is forever blown that I time and time again will see people just state their assumptions as fact and get a mass of people cheering them on when asking the question to your phone will prove you wrong in 2 seconds. How do we live in the age of information and have this many people this misinformed? It's mind-numbingly frustrating. And people like Denims, Hassan, Frogan, and that entire orbit who have created a cult-like following. And yes, before you leave comments on my video about how it's not a cult, I'm going to need you to explain to me why Hassan is referred to by his viewers as a religious figure. I'm going to need you to justify that before you tell me you're not a cult. Grand Mufti? Really? Not a cult? The gaslighting is pathetic. You are screaming at the internet that water ain't wet. You are pissing on my leg and telling me it's raining. And all this little internet bullshit that you guys are doing, that you think is making some kind of point, that you think is fooling people, it fools retards like you. It fools low IQ individuals who, I'm shocked, always seem to have disposable income to throw at creators and make them rich, even though they don't deserve your money. But I am forever shocked that this works. But you know where this doesn't work? In a court of law. I cannot wait. This isn't even about the Hassan Ethan drama anymore. I was never invested in either one of these creators to begin with, but the closer this got to reaction content as a whole, the more interested I became. And I cannot wait for this to go to court. Because we will have real time, documented under threat of perjury, examples of how well your internet bullshit technicality arguments hold up in a court of law. I cannot wait for all of you to do the mental gymnastics needed to cope about how your arguments carry no weight in the real world. None whatsoever. It's spoiler alert. That's how this is going to go. You can cope all you want online right now. And we'll probably be coping for the next year or two because this is going to take a while. But eventually, we will get to see all of your arguments completely shot down by a judge in a courtroom. That the law will laugh them out of existence. And I said this in the last video, and I'll say it again, directly to Ethan Klein. Ethan Klein, these people will beg to settle because they don't want those arguments to go to court for those reasons. Because they don't want them to get shot down. Because they don't want their gaslighting to end. And I know you are anxious to make that happen. But I propose an alternative. As much as I want to see that, I think the better outcome is to settle with them. To let them have their gaslighting and their bad arguments, because they only work in their bubble anyway. The greater internet as a whole knows a lie when it sees it, and they don't work. Instead, I propose that you settle with these creators under the sole condition that they waive their right to fair use. No money. You're not trying to financially ruin them. You said so yourself. It's not about the money. And let them continue to gaslight if they won't. But once they've waived their right to fair use, they will be unable to make React content going forward. Their streams will be of them and them alone. And they will sink or swim on their own merits and their own content. You're not trying to take their careers away. You're not canceling them. You're giving them the chance to stand on their own 2 feet, to prove us all wrong. And if they do so, great. But if they fail, they have only themselves to blame. But that cannot happen as long as they're allowed to make React content. Settle. Tell them to waive their right to fair use in exchange for the end of the lawsuit and no financial punishment whatsoever. At least make the proposal to them. Maybe they'll turn it down, maybe they'll take it. But if they take it, and we set the precedent that people who abuse fair use, who abuse their right to fair use, risk losing that right. And I think it would make React content a better place as a whole for everybody. You will have made your point. You will have made the space better for everyone. And you will have done so without being accused of ruining another person. If anything, well, if anything, you empowered them to stand on their own 2 feet. I think that's how you should end this. But I'm not a lawyer. I don't even know if that's possible. It's just a suggestion. Let's check in on chat real quick before I get the fuck out of here. All right.
Yeah, I was just commenting.
You know what else also has curation?
Curation
PSST.
TV.
They also require the permission
TV.
and license to cast. Yeah. And once you're on TV, like doing curation and all of the stuff she said, which that entire cope about, oh, I'm allowed to do this because I'm curating content. There's already a system for that. She doesn't need to do that on stream. And she doesn't even need a license to do it, by the way. I mean, yes, you have to have a license to broadcast it. But do you know how she can curate YouTube content for her viewers and promote it on stream without infringing on copyright? There's already a system for that. YouTube has a fucking playlist option. Anybody can make a playlist with anybody's videos. Just make a playlist, Denims. Make a playlist for your viewers and link that playlist in chat. Done. You didn't have to violate anybody's copyright to do it. That's pure cope. And ridiculous on its face. What else we got? Denims, I did not want to watch that by myself. Judge, then why were you doing a watch party at all if you didn't want to watch it? Well, she didn't want to watch it by herself. She didn't want to watch it. She wanted to watch it with people, and chat is people. You know where else you could have done that without violating his copyright and stealing views from him? On Discord. She has a Discord. She already has community there. You could have done this privately. You didn't have to do it publicly.
Yeah.
If your sole purpose was to watch with other people because you didn't want to watch it alone, like, I guess it to give you nightmares, you're scared. You could just stream it right there on Discord for your audience. Sure, you'd still be taking views away from him, but it would be privately to a bunch of people. You wouldn't get caught. And it would be minimal compared to the damn near 50,000 you got. So that argument doesn't hold weight either. That's ridiculous. Yeah, there's no way she can spend this that doesn't come back to exactly that. She wanted the ad revenue and the subs. It's painfully obvious that that's what she wanted, and that was the intended purpose. And that's the reason she's getting sued. And before you snarkers show up in my comments about how this was fair use, I just read an entire document with many examples of why it is not. Very detailed fucking examples of why it is not. Why is it none of you guys are reading this document? You can make this content same as I. It's publicly available document. You're free to read it. There's no copyright involved here. There's no infringement. It's public record. Feel free to pull it up yourself. Do your own videos like I've done reading it, and you can stop. I just did a straight reading. I saved all my comments for right now. But you could stop during it at every single point where they're trying to prove Denim's wrong and tell us how the document is wrong. How a document written to be truthful under threat of perjury is wrong. None of you are going to do that. Because your arguments are bullshit. Because you are knowingly lying and gaslighting the public. Because you are coping. You are either intentionally doing this to make your cult leader, your Grand Mufti, happy, or you have drank so much of the Kool-Aid that you are outright delusional. Leave your home. Touch grass. Go outside. Spend some time in the real world. Have normal conversations with people about normal topics. Because if you're repeating any of the things that Denims, Frogans, Hassan, or any of those people have said, you have lost the ability to communicate. You have lost the plot. You've lost the ability to communicate with normal people. And you need to be reminded what that's like. It's clear that there was a market of people who didn't want to watch it directly from the source. So Snark advertised channels that were streaming the whole video so you could support them instead. Yes, it's unquestionable that is what the H3 Snark mods were attempting to do. There are so many ways that they could have all watched the nuke together, giving it only one view for many viewers that would have been absolutely legal. Right there on Reddit, well, I don't know if it would be one view for many viewers, but it would have been a convenient way for them to all watch it together and have their own private chat, at least. Right there on Reddit, instead of linking to Denims or Frogan or Shonda Black or Casey Tron or any of those other creators, all they would have to do is embed the YouTube video directly onto that post. They wouldn't even have to go to H3's channel. They could just click play and stay on that Reddit page and watch it while chatting to each other in the comment section on Reddit or in the Reddit chat feature in real time. It'd be like having their own live stream without having to actually take a view or take anything away from Ethan, because that embed is directly from YouTube, which means pressing play on that pulls from YouTube servers and still counts as a view for Ethan. You didn't have to steal views from him to get the experience they claimed they wanted. The intention was malicious. That's obvious on Snark, not just by the fact that all the cope is going to be, well, they always support their creators. They're just linking to their Twitch pages. That doesn't link directly to any video. Yes, it links to their Twitch page because they were live at the time. Going directly to their Twitch page would go directly to the live stream. They can't post a link to a live stream itself while the stream is live. You can only link directly to specific videos on Twitch once they become VODs and have a video link. But you all know that. So that cope's retarded. But it's not even the links to the Twitch pages that prove their malicious intent on H3 Snark. It's the use of YouTube. YEW tube. Not YouTube, like where the video was actually hosted, but YEW tube, a YouTube video download service, where they're instructing people to go download the video and watch it privately on their own computers, robbing Ethan of a view. Because services like that download the video without viewing it, ad-free. Sites like that are unauthorized and illegal. And H3 Snark was directing its users to those. That's malicious intent, just on its face. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So, are there any other? God, it's so there was so much in it. I'm trying to go through it and see, did I miss anything? I don't even know where to begin with this. It's so long, so thorough. I mean, they kind of call out a lot of the stuff during the reading. I didn't realize that I had completely forgot that she read Osama bin Laden's letter to America on stream. That was wild. And that she agreed with it. I don't even know how you can be on her side after that. Like they're the, I mean, that was it's a terrorist attack on our country, but I get it. You guys all think America bad, so. So I guess if the terrorist attack happened in your town, then you would die. You would die knowing you deserved it, right? I guess you could die with honor, huh? Because it's funny that all of you live in America, so you would be the people they were attacking while screaming America bad. What do you think, they're going to show up? If terrorists ever came here to attack, they're going to show up and recognize you as one of their supporters and be like, whoa, whoa, don't shoot that one. That one knows America bad. They're with us. They'd shoot you too. It's retarded. You look like me. And we all look the same to them. It's completely delusional. Yeah, there's so many, like compared to the other documents, just skimming through it here, there's so many open admissions of theft from Denims in this that compared to the other ones, I think on that merit alone, she might be the most cooked. I think the only thing weighing against Ethan in this filing is the unneeded background of each individual character at play here. Like, does the judge need to know that the CEO of Twitch likes e-girls? Like, that doesn't have any bearing on this whatsoever. Like, you didn't have to put that part in. Like, there's a lot of little parts like that kind of derail that I think should have been left out. There are quite a few parts that could have been left out. I think there's enough just on Denims here that if you kept the focus on her, it would still look pretty bad. I think the judge would still get the point. She has said openly in plain English in multiple ways that her streams are theft. Her streams are watch parties. She understands she shouldn't do it, but she's doing it anyway because she doesn't think it matters or because she thinks she has a moral right to do it. None of those things will hold up in court, by the way. No matter how good a reason you have to kill someone, murder is murder. You can't use that as your defense in court. The defense of he deserved it doesn't get you off a murder charge. And the defense of, well, he doesn't deserve the views doesn't make your copyright infringement okay either. Like these are all internet arguments. Like these don't work in court. These don't work in the real world. It's just ridiculous. But hey, you snarkers, you Denim stands, you Hassan fans out there, you can feel free to scream your free Palestines in my comments. And after I'm done filtering through those, if any of you have any actual arguments, feel free to put them below the video in the comments. And, you know, maybe I'll address them in a future video. Or if you want to show up for one of the live streams, I do these every night at midnight Eastern Time, 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And, hey, if you want to jump into the chat here, let me know that you're a Hassan fan or you're from H3 Snark or wherever you're from, and that you think I'm wrong and want to debate me. And there's a Discord linked right at the top of chat. You can join, and I'll talk to you. But I suggest you bring receipts, because the last one of you that did that, it didn't go well. I will have receipts on hand. I suggest you do the same. If you're going to reference a clip, I expect you to show it. If you're going to tell me someone said something, I expect you to show it. Because I'll be able to. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Speaking of that Discord, it is linked at the top of chat. If you're watching this live and you're not a member, be sure to join. If you're watching the VOD, it will be linked below the video in the description. I will try to provide timestamps. I will also provide links to this document below the video, as well as links to the video by Ethan announcing that he's going to sue the creators, so you get full context for everything. It will be linked either in the description or in a pinned comment below. For now, though, I've been streaming all night and I have to get ready for work. It looks like I have a sleepless night because that reading took longer than I thought it would. I don't do YouTube for a living. This is a hobby, and I have sacrificed more sleep than I usually sacrifice tonight to enjoy my hobby. So I have to go to my real job and touch grass. Anyway, I want to thank all of you for watching. If you like the video, like the video. If you enjoy the content, be sure to hit the subscribe button. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers so I can enjoy some ad revenue myself. And until next time, I'll see you witches in the next one. Thanks for watching, everybody.